Hello, this is Ronnie Nichols. I'm going to make a little video here demonstrating a technique that I learned from one of my heroes, Mr. Frank Ford. I won't try to take credit for thinking this up because I sure wish I had been the one that thought of it, but I wasn't. But Frank Ford is a real good craftsman, and I've met him and followed his website. His website's frets.com. If you're interested in instruments or repairs on musical stuff, stringed instruments, I'd highly suggest that you go to his website and look it over. But anyhow, I want you to know that this is not something I came up with, but it's a neat little technique. I'm going to demonstrate it on this little true tone guitar. It's one that belongs to me. I don't have a guitar around right now that has this problem that I'm going to show you how to correct, but we're going to show you on this, and I think you can get the idea. So if you say, well, that doesn't look like it's doing what he said it's doing, I'm just demonstrating the technique, so bear with me. Here's a tool that I didn't have for quite a few years. If you don't have one, you work on guitars very much, I'd highly suggest you either get one or fabricate you one. You can take a dial indicator and make one. Actually, this is a different dial indicator than this tool came with from Stuart McDonald, but it's all the same. But what it does, or one application that it does, when you're measuring the height of the string over the first fret, it's mighty handy for that. And what you do is you twist this little dial here until you get it on 0. Hope you can see that. And then you can mash this down, and we've got about 9/1000ths of an inch clearance on that first string there. And you can test each string out. And here's the second string. We've got about 10/1000ths on it. So in this instance, what we're going to talk about is, let's say that you got a buzz. This guitar doesn't have a buzz in it. It's set just about like I like it, but let's assume that you measure this and it measures 8/1000ths or maybe 6/1000ths, and it's buzzing on the first fret. So I'm going to show you a quick way to correct that I learned from Frank Ford, and it works mighty well, and it's pretty simple. So hang on here and we'll show you what we're talking about. Now, the first thing that I do is to take the strings out of the nut, and I learned this from Frank too, to pull them off out of the slots. And put them on the side. Now, I've got a little tool that I made. I think Stuart McDonald sells one, but here it is, and it'll kind of help you to get that string up out of there. And I've got this little wooden tool that I made to hold the strings out of the way. And I usually start down here at the lower down on it, where I've got room to pull the strings out and hook them in there around the edge of it. And yes, we're trying to do this without loosening the strings off. And so there's that that's holding the strings out of the way so we can do what we want to do. But one thing that you might want to do on some guitars is you might take a knife should have had one waiting, shouldn't I? You may want to take a knife and score along the front edge of the nut, score the finish before trying to take it off. And the proper way to remove a nut is to you can take a piece of wood or whatever, this little piece of acrylic, and tap on it just like that, and that'll loosen it up and get the nut off of it. And so sometimes you'll have a piece of wood that'll come off with it, and you need to remove that. So from here, we're going to move over here to another little workbench I've got. So just hang on. Alright, now we're over here in a little different part of my shop, and here's some address labels that you can get from about any office supply, Walmart, or whatever. And they're sticky stuff, and we'll measure the thickness of that and show it to you. That is about 4/1000 of an inch thick. Now that's what we're going to add to the bottom of this nut. And if you had some wood on the bottom of it, you need to clean that off and get it smooth. But what I've learned to do is you take one of these labels and lay it on the flat place. Sticky side up now. And you take your nut and you lay it down on there, on the sticky part. And that gives you some more clearance. Can't keep up with my knife today. And you can take a knife and cut around this thing. And you've added 4/1000 of an inch of height to these slots, to all of them. Now, people like to use super glue and baking soda and some stuff like that. I've even got some dental filler that I use sometimes to fill that slot up and refile it. There's several ways of doing it, but this is a pretty quick way of handling a problem. And if you need 8/1000 of an inch, you just put 2 of them on there. Trim around it real closely. Now we got 8/1000 of an inch of more height on all these strings for our nut. So now what I would do is I like to use this Elmer's glue all. What I like to do is you can use super glue or something on this, but I've had some nuts that people put super glue on, get it on the bottom of them, and you can do some damage getting them off. So what I like to do is use this white glue and just put it on the end that faces the fingerboard. Put it on there, and Clean what little squeeze out you got off there. And then you can take this thing off here. And reattach the strings. That's kind of rough on your hands to do it that way, but it can save you a whole lot of time and trouble by not having to loosen the strings up. Now, there we are. There's a little bit more squeeze out that came out of there, and I'll go down through there and clean that off. But now you get the idea. Different guitars, you can get by with different clearances on that, and whatever your preference is. Probably 15 thousandths of an inch is a pretty standard height to set these strings at. I believe Frank said that the same size as a string would be a pretty proper clearance. Like if this is 13 thousandths, you might have 13 thousandths of an inch clearance. But when you put that spacer under there, you're going to have to file the strings back down, and of course you want to file them at the angle of the peg head, and you might want to add a little bit of pencil lead to it. That graphite will make the strings slide in there a little bit and not pop. So anyhow, that's the way that's done. I hope that information will help you. I thought it was a pretty neat little trick. Thank you for watching.